Welcome everybody at the Polish American Cultural Center. I am lucky enough to speak both languages. So here I am, and I can understand him, and some of you probably maybe not. I don't know, as he said, everything in English almost today. Ale witamy Państwa w Polsko-Amerykańskim Centrum Kultury. Dzisiaj obchodzimy Konstytucję 3 maja. Bardzo się cieszymy, że nas odwiedziliście. Cieszymy się, że atmosfera jest taka przyjazna i taka rodzinna. Dziękujemy Wam bardzo za przybycie. Zaprezentujemy teraz bardzo krótki program artystyczny, gdzie ja będę prezentowała część narracji, jak również Andy Bajda, który jest prezydentem Polsko-Amerykańskiego Centrum Kultury. I będziecie mieli okazję zobaczyć dzieci z polskiej szkoły również. Piosenki i wiersze będą w języku polskim. Witamy serdecznie, dziękujemy, zapraszamy. That's my part. Zebraliśmy się dzisiaj w przededniu 231. rocznicy uchwalenia Konstytucji 3 maja. Konstytucję uchwalono w 1791 roku. Była ona pierwszą w Europie i drugą na świecie po Konstytucji amerykańskiej z 1787. Określiła ustrój państwa oraz prawa i obowiązki człowieka i obywatela.
We are gathered today on the eve of the 231st anniversary of the May 3rd Constitution. The Constitution was passed in 1791. It was the first in Europe and the second in the world after the American Constitution of 1787. It defined the system of the state as well as the rights and obligations of man and citizens.
A teraz proszę Państwa o powstanie do polskiego hymnu narodowego. Please stand.
Polska nie zginęła, kiedy my żyjemy. Co nam obca przemoc dziewa, ziarno odbierzemy. Nasz marsz dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski, za Twoim przewodem złączył się z narodem. Marsz dąbrowski, ziemi włoskiej do Polski, za Twoim przewodem złączył się z narodem. Jak Czarnecki dom Poznania, mąż Świeckice morze, dla ojczyzny ratowania rzucił się przez morze. Marsz dąbrowski, ziemi włoskiej do Polski, za Twoim przewodem złączył się z narodem. Marsz dąbrowski, ziemi włoskiej do Polski, za Twoim przewodem złączył się z narodem.
Każde państwo ma symbole, flagę, godło oraz hymn. Po tym dziecko rozpoznaje narodowość kraju swego. Hymnem Polski jest Mazurek. Pan Żywiński pisał go, by na włoskiej obcej ziemi walczyć o nasz kraj tam słowo. Flaga Polski z dawien dawna dwa kolory ma. Białą górę, czerwień pod nią. Każdy to już zna. Godło Polski orzeł biały, wokół tło czerwone. Na głowie korona, skrzydła rozłożone. Każdy Polak od małego zna te trzy symbole. Wie, że polskiej ziemi one przeznaczone. Biel oznacza czystość, czerwień znakiem męstwa. Wiele Polska wycierpiała, nim doszła do zwycięstwa.
The anniversary of the May 3rd Constitution was celebrated by Polish patriots during the partitions, despite repression and objection from the partitioning powers. Particularly important ceremonies took place at the end of the 19th century in Galicia, where Poles enjoyed a wide autonomy. In the interwar period, the celebration of the anniversary of the adoption of the May 3rd Constitution had the rank of great public holiday. After World War II, in the face of the new political and systemic reality, the celebration of this anniversary was continued. It was only on April 6, 1990, that the Senate of the Republic of Poland decided to restore the rank of a public holiday on May 3rd, the anniversary of the adoption of the first Polish Constitution of 1791.
Tyle razy zamyłaś wolności, tyle razy tłumił skarb, ale zawsze czynił to obcy, a dziś brata zabija brat. Ojczyzno ma, tyle razy wehni spontana, jak wielka dziś twoja rana, jakże długo cierpienie twe trwa. Biały orzeł znów skrępowany, krwawy łańcuch zwisa już dwom, lecz i wkrótce zostanie zerwany, bo wolności uderzy dzwon. Ojczyzno ma, tyle razy wehni stąpana, ach jak wielka dziś twoja rana, jakże długo cierpienie te trwa. O królowo polskiej korony, wolność, pokój, miłość raczka, by ten naród boleśnie dręczony, odkąd wiernie przy Tobie mógł trwać. O Matko ma, Tyś królową polskiego narodu, Tyś wolnością w czasie niewoli i nadzieją, gdy w sercach jej brak. O Matko ma, Tyś królową polskiego narodu, Tyś wolnością w czasie niewoli i nadzieją, gdy serca nie brak.
After the first partition of Poland, leaders of Polish society sought to implement reforms concentrating in the so-called patriotic camp. The opposition of the magnates was an opponent of the reforms, and they intended to continue to benefit from Russia's protection. The king and the court party sought to strengthen the royal power and increase the armed forces. The struggle between these parties was to take place at the Sejm, which began its deliberation in 1788. Its deliberations gained the name of the Four-Year Sejm, as they ended their activity on May 3rd, 1791.
Takiego maja, ślicznego maja, nie było jeszcze. Umył się rano, rosół poranną, srebrzystym deszczem. Potem się otarł, przedzą ze złota, tęczą utoczoną, włosów promienie, związał misternie, wstążką czerwoną. Po słońce smużka, na lekkich nóżkach, zbiegł z wioską do nas, wielki sasanki, haczeńców, wianki. Przyniósł w ramionach. Żelewni błękit, trele piosenki, rozsypał szczodrze. Jak czystym majem, prześlicznym majem, było nam dobrze.
On May 3rd, 1791, the four-year Sejm passed the Constitution. It was the first in Europe and the second in the world after the United States Constitution, regulating the scope of activities of state authorities and civil rights. It was created in secret because there was a fear of opposition from noble deputies who would vote against all progressive reforms.
Witaj moja walczynko, świeć naszej polskiej krainie, uczciwy Ciebie piosenko, przy kochance i przy winie. Witaj moj, trzeci moj, u Polaków nowy raj. Witaj moj, trzeci moj, u Polaków nowy raj. Witaj moja walczynko, świeć naszej polskiej krainie, uczciwy Ciebie piosenko, która w całej Polsce słynie. Witaj moj, trzeci moj, u Polaków nowy raj. Witaj moj, trzeci moj, u Polaków nowy raj.
The period of freedom and hope was short-lived. Poland disappeared from the map of Europe for 123 years. But the work of the Great Sejm remained forever a symbol of rebirth, the last attempt at wisdom of Poles. This symbol will always be associated with Poland and with Poles.
Polska, nasza ojczyzna, w niej ziemia urodzajna i żyzna. Od gór do morza się rozpościera, od Bałtyku po Tatry w piersiach dech zapiera. Warszawa, Polski stolica, dumnie prezentuje swe piękne oblicza. W jej herbie syrenka z mieczem, tarczą w dłoni, od złego ojczyznę Polskę obroni.
The Constitution of May 3rd was an attempt to save the endangered existence of a state that was partitioned for the first time in 1772. Her great merit was awakening hope for independence, as well as reviving patriotic feelings in many circles of society.
środków iść będziemy, za ojczyznę walczyć to nasz cel. Do lepszego jutra iść pragniemy, znieść górę swą zbroń. Uwierz Polsko, naszej wiary nie zabraknie nam. Żaden wróg nie zwycięży Boga w nas. Z Bogiem zawsze pokonamy każde zło. Może nam dopomóż nam, dopomóż nam.
Nowy dzień świąteczny mamy, 2 maja, to dzień flagi. Choć historia barw jest stara, to dopiero teraz flaga doczekała takiej chwili, w której ją radośnie czcimy. Biel od orła i pogoni, czerwień starczy tła pochodzi. A że godło jest ważniejsze, stąd też biel na miejsce pierwsze. Jest od góry barwą flagi, w dole prawnie czerwień mamy. Z nią od wieków naród kroczy, jest gdzie łzy i gdzie krew broczy. Przez zabory wojna świata zawsze bliska jest Polaka. Ciesz się flago, a my z Tobą, godnie uniesione czoło, ufne myśli i nadzieja, duma serca nam rozpiera.
She said the poem in Polish about Polish symbols and about Polish flag. How long these symbols from the poem, as well as the white eagle, Vistula, Baltic, red poppies, and Polonaise, how long it will be associated with Poland and Poles depends only on us, Poles. Being a true patriot is not easy today. This is why we remind those who for many years, scattered all over the world, lived and worked for the fatherland. Today, we recall the pages of history in order to draw from them strength, wisdom, and values that allowed Poles to survive the difficult times of captivity.
today, especially as we're here in exile, we try to recall, retain, and nurture our Polishness. One of the special places of cultivating our national traditions and history is the Polish American Cultural Center and the National Heritage Garden. Thank you for coming today, and we invite you to join us and visit with us in the future.
I tak oto prawie dobiegliśmy do końca programu. Dziękujemy za to, że jesteście z nami, że zdecydowaliście się przyjść do centrum, żeby obchodzić uroczystość Konstytucji 3 maja, że pamiętacie o tym na ojczyźnie, że jednak coś was tutaj pędzi i gna i że mamy ludzi, którzy próbują kultywować cały czas naszą tradycję, naszą historię. Jestem niezmiernie wzruszona i bardzo wdzięczna wielu osobom, które tutaj pracowały, za to, że na przykład mamy na stołach biało-czerwone obrusy i te piękne maki. Dziękujemy Ray Vargas. Beautiful symbol of Poland. For those of you, the poppies are the symbol of Poland. We are so proud of that symbol. Anyway, I have a poem in English, which is a Polish anthem of people being outside of the country. To jest wiersz Jana Lechonia, hymn Polaków na ojczyźnie, bo postanowiliśmy, że jednak chyba bardziej się możemy utożsamiać z tym wierszem, a nie rzucimy ziemi skąd nasz lud, bo w końcu rzuciliśmy. Więc Jan Lechoń, ale po angielsku. There is one Poland, as one God in heaven. I offered all my strength to her. I adore your holy bones from your great men. I believe in your future full of great glory, power, goodness, and justice. I know that not oppression and greedy conquest, but the freedom of peoples followed your sign. That there is no history more beautiful than yours and greater glory than to be a Pole. I am like a soldier ready for everything. And in my homeland and in a foreign country, I keep watch and guard the treasure of the Polish language, Polish spirit, and Polish custom. I always feel the same with the Polish nation. I am called to all Poles to come to the common great future. I vow brotherhood.
Długo w sercach naszych, choć kropla polskiej krwi. Jak długo w sercach naszych, ojczyska miłość tkwi. Stać będzie kraj nasz cały, stać będzie gwiazdów grób. Zwycięży orzeł biały, zwycięży polski lud. Stać będzie kraj nasz cały, stać będzie gwiazdów grób. Zwycięży orzeł biały, zwycięży polski lud. Jak długo na Wawelu słonka bije dzwon. Długo z gór karpackich rozbierze polski dom. Stać będzie kraj nasz cały, stać będzie gwiazdów grób. Zwycięży orzeł biały, zwycięży polski lud. Stać będzie kraj nasz cały, stać będzie gwiazdów grób. Zwycięży orzeł będzie stać, jak długo polskie grody blisko będą stać. Stać będzie kraj nasz cały, stać będzie gwiazdą wróg. Zwycięży orzeł biały, zwycięży polski ród. Stać będzie kraj nasz cały, stać będzie gwiazdą wróg. Zwycięży orzeł biały, zwycięży polski ród.
Before we close and we get a chance to introduce our Grand Marshal, I'd like to recognize our program director, Agnieszka Bienek, who put this beautiful program together. And I know you want to hear the names of these beautiful singers. So,
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming here and to celebrate with us this special day for all of us, especially all of us who are here on the foreign land. And as Agata said, that we want to preserve our tradition and our symbols and our language. So I'm very, very grateful to our young artists, to Gabriela Skomra, to Natalia Niemczyk and Paulina Kramarczyk, and also to Władysław Kijański. I am very grateful to all of them for their time and sharing their talents with all of us. Thank you so much.
all right. So, I am really honored to introduce the Grand Marshal for the entire weekend, a gentleman named Chef Brandon Edwin Krostowski. Now, Agata has forced me to allow her to say some things because she is, I know, she is beyond thrilled, as am I, and for some very personal reasons. I've got a former student, he's hiding here somewhere, but I know of the struggles that so many young men and women have to face. Some of them didn't have the same opportunities, perhaps they've been incarcerated. And the Grand Marshal, he's the founder of what's called the Edmonds Leadership and Restaurant Institute. They offer formerly incarcerated adults a foundation in the culinary and hospitality industries. And today, Edmonds has grown to include an award-winning French restaurant, butcher shop, bakery, culinary incubator, community kitchen, and makerspace. They graduate over 100 students per year. They are making a difference in people's lives.
So that shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't be speaking, but I'm beyond being tricked because I work in a recovery place and I hear those stories all the time from people struggling. And I hear the name, Edwin's restaurant. And I lived on the east side for a long time. And in my church, there is always about Edwin's. Everybody, I'm just gonna cry in a moment. Because I have heard so many touching my heart stories. Stories of victory. Getting the second chance. Stories that really are taking every piece of your body apart. And people just raising up and getting the life together. And here I am, which I thought that his name is Edwin, by the way. I've heard from so many people about this young guy. And this is the Polish Constitution Day, and he's not Edwin, he has a different name, and he's Polish. This is like more than a privilege. It's like we're really happy to introduce you right now. The mic is for you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for allowing me to be here, and thank you for nominating me for the Grand Marshal of the Parade. Well, I don't know what to say here. I mean, I can't follow up the singing. I cannot do better. She was very passionate about her words, so, and I'm not going to stand in the way of food. So I will be brief with my comments. So I grew up in Detroit. We have a lot of Polish people up in Detroit, okay? And it was really part of growing up that our grandparents made sure that the Polish culture remained in some way, shape, or form a part and present in our life. Now, some of you may have lived in Poland. Who has lived in Poland here? So, okay, all right. It's like you can teach me a lot. I've never lived in Poland, okay? But I can tell you, and I'm certain of it, that Poland lives in me. What I found in my life to work very well is hard work, compassion, to care for others that are in need, and also to have the courage to stand up for things that might not be right. Yeah, that's a very big word, courage. And for my whole life, I believe that this is the way to live. And also, let me cannot say enough about this, a strong faith in God. This is a very important part of life. And forever, I want to celebrate the Polish traditions, and I'm proud of it. We have a bakery, and we always do the pączki, you know, we do every year for the celebration, and we fry them in lard like we're supposed to, okay? It's the best, okay? Thank you. We do traditions in our house. My wife, we have 3 children, okay? And we teach them the things about Poland as much as I know. But it wasn't until a few weeks ago I went to Poland to work and help with the border of Ukraine, okay? And everything about what I thought Poland was and the people of Poland are was so much true, right? They were compassionate, they were strong, they were working so much and so hard to help other people who are fleeing from war and refugees. I saw just a tremendous amount of faith in God, and you couldn't go in the farmlands without seeing a cross in front of a farm, which was a great reminder, which we don't see here in the United States. So many, reminders of God in our life. And so, like I said, I've never lived in Poland, but Poland has always lived in me. So when I got the email about being the Grand Marshal, it was the same week I got nominated for a James Beard Award, which is a big deal in this country for restaurant people. In fact, it was a restaurant category, the best in the country to have restaurants. But that didn't mean anything. Thank you. But the same day they called up this Grand Marshal, and that was the most important thing of that day. Nothing would have made my grandparents more proud than me being here today as a Grand Marshal of the Constitution Day Parade. So I'm very, very thankful for this. I don't take it lightly. I am a member now of the Polish Cultural Center. I joined like a month ago. Gene got me involved, right? I just think there's so much beauty, and you can hear it in the voices of these young girls of Poland, of the traditions. And I think there's a lot of, a tremendous amount of potential here in Cleveland to activate people who are Polish, or are Polish in some way, shape, or form. But Poland lives in a lot of us, and sometimes we just don't know how to get in touch with it. And this center and this parade is a great way and a great time to start getting people re-engaged with their culture. So I know personally I'm going to do my best to spread the word of the Cultural Center and the great things that can be done and the accessibility of it. But I tell you what, this is one honor I don't take lightly. I try my best to be a part of every day or of the activities in the church tomorrow, and of course the parade. And is it supposed to rain? Are we good? We'll see. Okay, but in any event, thank you very much, and again, I hope we enjoy the food too. Thank you.